Hi, this is James Gardner here with the first graphic novel review on the channel. Today's graphic novel I'll be talking about today, A History of Violence, written by John Wagner and illustrated by Vince Locke. This is from Paradox Press, and this was first published in 1997. This was a really good graphic novel, like really dark, gritty, violent, and and a bit over top too, which I really enjoyed, and I just really enjoyed this a lot. I saw the film first because I was actually I was curious about that film when it came out, and it did so well and stuff. And then after years of hearing about the film of the same name, I finally watched it, and I really didn't like the film. I found the graphic novel a lot better. Like, the story just gets right to the point. It doesn't waste any time. There's no filler, which is the one thing I really like about this graphic novel, unlike the movie of the same name where it added all this unwanted filler, and I really didn't like that. This focuses on the plot of the story, and it just... John Wagner doesn't waste any time. He just gets right down to it. This is the guy that created the character Judge Dredd for the 2000 AD comic series, and he also wrote stories for Judge Dredd as well, and many others. The illustrations by Vince Locke. He's the guy that did the cover artwork for the death metal band Cannibal Corpse, and he did the illustrations for the comic series Deadworld. I'd like to check out as well. While there was some illustrations I felt were high detail, others I felt were kind of a bit messy and just not well drawn. So while the illustrations were kind of in the middle, the story is what really made up the most part of this whole graphic novel. The story was very solid. It's very well written. It's got a cast of solid characters, both people you care for, and just a bunch of really despicable and just very cruel, heartless, psychopathic characters that this main character goes up against. And this was a really good story. I definitely will have to review some of the Judge Dredd stuff in the future for the channel, written by John Wagner, and I'll definitely be doing more graphic novel reviews on the channel. All right, onto the review. Plot: a couple tries hitchhiking to the nearby town Jackson in Michigan when a truck pulls over. The boyfriend Jimmy goes to speak with the passenger, only to be greeted by a grinning man armed with a magnum. Billy shoots Jimmy in the chest as his girlfriend attempts to escape, but is gunned down. Billy and the driver search the couple for money, but only find $20 on Jimmy's girlfriend. Enraged, Billy yells while pumping the woman full of lead, causing her chest to explode. The driver suggests pulling a stick up in the nearby town for some quick cash. Meanwhile, Tom McKennedy is closing up his cafe with his wife Edie and young daughter Ellie, waiting for him to return home. Then the two criminals enter the cafe wanting coffee and refuse to leave. Edie senses trouble as she takes her daughter out of the cafe and goes to get help. Once alone with Tom, both Billy and his partner pull out their guns, planning on killing him and taking whatever he's got. Tom splashes hot coffee on Billy's face, then smashes the glass carafe into Billy's partner, knocking him down. Tom quickly throws the dessert display at Billy, knocking him down, then hops over the counter, kicking the driver down. Billy stands up and tries to shoot Tom. He quickly grabs the driver's gun and spins around, nearly getting shot, but Tom quickly caps off a few rounds, taking Billy down as he crashes through the window, landing on the sidewalk. Tom holds Billy's partner at gunpoint till Sheriff Frank Carney comes in to arrest the criminal. Tom becomes a local town hero, however his actions have brought him unwanted attention from the media. While returning home, Tom is annoyed that a news crew is waiting to interview him as he refuses to answer their questions and blocks the camera from filming him. After a few days, the media leaves Tom alone, allowing him to get back to his normal life. While playing a game of baseball with the other town residents, a black Lincoln sedan appears with the backseat passenger looking at Tom with a pair of binoculars. As Tom notices the black sedan, it drives off. Later that day, Tom spots the black Lincoln parked outside of his house as it drives off, believing it's reporters. The next day, while working a shift, the black Lincoln reappears again with two men getting out and enter. The first guy is tall and the other is wearing a black leather jacket, dark sunglasses, and has a short ponytail. The guy states they're from New York and they've been looking for Tom. The tall man leaves while the other guy watches Tom. Entering the cafe is Mr. Torino, an old man with one eye missing and his face covered in scars. He grabs Tom's arm and reveals his real name is Joey Mewey and owes him for unpaid debt. Mr. Torino then shows a severed finger he took from Joey's left hand, proving it's Joey. Disgusted by this, Edie orders the men to leave at once. After they leave, Edie calls Sheriff Frank to report this incident. When Frank returns to the cafe, he informs both Tom and Edie the three men are Anthony, Charles, and John Torino. All three men have criminal records dating back to the 80s, and they're tied to the mafia. Frank asks Tom if he has anything to do with these men in the past, but claims he doesn't know them, and they got the wrong man. Later on that day, Edie goes to the mall with her daughter for shopping. She bumps into Anthony and Charles, who try speaking with Edie, but threatens them to leave her alone. They back off when a cop asks if there's any problems. During that night, Edie is growing concerned for the safety of her family, and she asks Tom if he's hiding anything. Again, Tom replies he isn't hiding anything. Then, he gets a phone call from Charles, who wants Tom to come visit them and talk. Tom refuses and threatens the men he'll kill them if they dare lay a finger on his children or wife, and hangs up. Tom then goes to his gun cabinet and gets his bolt-action sniper rifle. Mr. Torino believes he's found who he's been looking for and plans to capture and kill Joey. As they leave the hotel, they spot Tom's son Buzz and kidnap him. Edie calls Buzz's friend's house to see if he's on his way home when the phone line suddenly goes dead. Then the three men appear in front of Tom's house, demanding he comes out, with Anthony holding Buzz at knife point. Tom takes his bolt-action rifle and gives Edie a pistol and wants her to run out the back with Ellie and get help. Tom steps out armed with his rifle as he threatens them to let his son go. They refuse as Tom has his sights on Anthony. Edie leaves her daughter in the cornfield and tells her to wait there while she goes back to help her husband. Mr. Torino's men draw their guns. Tom quickly shoots the propane tank behind them, knocking them down, as Charles is killed by shrapnel while both Anthony and Mr. Torino are wounded along with Buzz. Buzz runs as Anthony tries to shoot him. Tom fires his rifle, hitting him in the throat, but Anthony is able to wound Tom in the shoulder. Mr. Torino lifts over to Tom and aims a pistol at his eye while taunting him, knowing he was Joey all along. Just as he goes to pull the trigger, Edie shoots Tom in the back, then caps off a few more rounds until he collapses on the ground. While Buzz goes to get Edie, Tom confesses that he was in fact Joey and his family are in danger. While recovering at the hospital, Tom reveals his past to his wife and son. Joey had a close friend, Eddie, who lost his brother Stevie when he robbed a liquor store that belonged to Mr. Torino. Stevie was murdered under the Brooklyn Bridge with his brains blown out. Joey witnessed Mr. Torino and his men smash up a store while beating the owner to death for protection money while playing baseball in the street, and hits Mr. Torino in the head by accident with a baseball. When the men walk out, they toss Joey the bloody bat as a warning. Eddie buys the bat off him as he begins getting involved with organized crime, making $1,000 in burglary, which Joey takes part in. However, Eddie wants revenge for the death of his brother as Joey tries to talk him out but refuses to listen and fears his friend's future is grim as it will only end in violence. Then, one night after successfully pulling off another burglary, the two friends are confronted by a pair of criminals who attempt to mug them when Eddie pulls out a gun and kills the one criminal as Joey beats the other up. Shaken by this, Joey wants out, but Eddie shows him a restaurant that belongs to Mr. Torino, planning on robbing it and bumping off Torino. Joey wants no part of it until returning home when he learns his grandmother's health is getting worse, when her heart is becoming weak and would need an operation but can't afford it. Joey goes outside of his apartment and calls Eddie, telling him he's in. While watching a war movie, Eddie uses models and toys, planning out his attack plan along with the hardware they'll need and a getaway car. After school, Eddie picks up Joey in a muscle car and takes him to a cabin in Pennsylvania. Once there, they meet Willie, an arms dealer who sells them two .45 Magnums and two Uzi SMGs along with grenade launchers with tear gas rounds and gas masks. Eddie uses all the money he saved up from the robberies to buy the hardware, with he and Joey going to rob Mr. Torino's restaurant and waste him. On the day of the heist, Torino is late and Eddie is done waiting. Both he and Joey dress up as Boy Scouts. They walk up to the restaurant with Eddie whipping out his Uzi as he blasts away the bodyguards, then takes out two mafia members inside. Joey fires off the tear gas rounds as both men put on their gas masks. Eddie kills any mafia members he sees while Joey grabs the money. At the same time, Mr. Torino pulls up as he and his men draw their guns, but Eddie quickly fires back at them as both he and Joey escape out the back door, run through the alleyway, change their clothes, and reach their getaway car. They make out with $22,000. Joey is able to use the money to help his grandmother while keeping the rest to himself. However, Eddie begins flashing the money around and is along to Mr. Torino finds him. Unable to sleep because of the robbery, Joey sees Mr. Torino's men coming after him. He quickly takes the duffel bag and tries to escape, but is confronted by Torino's men in an alleyway. Joey tries climbing over a barbed wire fence, but loses his grip. Mr. Torino and his goon try to approach Joey, but he whips out his Uzi, killing the one goon. Torino takes cover behind a dumpster as Joey tries to reload his weapon, but is knocked out of his hand when Torino throws a crate at him, then chops off his left finger with an axe. He also revealed he paid his friend Eddie a visit and is going to enjoy killing him. Before he swings down his axe, Joey grabs a pole with the barbed wire and swings it at Mr. Torino, tearing out his right eye, blinding him. After escaping Mr. Torino, Tom fled New York and drifted from town to town until he met 80 using a fake ID. While his wife forgives him and doesn't want the police to know about Tom's past, however, when Sheriff Frank comes in with some detectives from Detroit who want to speak with him, he also reveals that Mr. Torino has survived after being shot several times. Tom knows his family is in danger and the Mafia won't rest till he and everyone else is dead. He plans to finish off that new head member of the Mafia to ensure his family is safe and to settle the score once and for all. History of Violence is a dark, gritty, and brutal story of cruel and dangerous men. Very well written plot with a solid cast of characters, no filler within the story as John Wagner gets right to it and doesn't waste any time. There were many scenes of shocking, graphic, and disturbing violence within the pages, along with some really cool death scenes. I like the main character of Tom, just an everyday man who suddenly faces off against some of the most ruthless and crazy psychopaths as all this man wants to live in peace. Towards the end of this graphic novel had me on the edge of my seat, with Tom facing off against a mafia boss that's even worse than Torino, which ends in a brutal fight to the death. While the illustrations by Vince Locke could be highly detailed at times and others a bit messy, I felt these could have been drawn better, as sharper detail would have made the pictures stand out better. As for the film of the same name, avoid it. It tones down the violence and darkness of the graphic novel, adds a bunch of unwanted filler to the story, and changes many plot points around from the original story. Overall, I highly recommend A History of Violence. If you want a gritty, dark, and very violent crime thriller, then this graphic novel has exactly what you're looking for. You won't be disappointed by it. And that's for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. And I had an absolute blast reading this graphic novel. I couldn't believe how fast it moves. Like, it doesn't, as I said, this graphic novel doesn't waste any time. It starts off with a little opening, then it just gets right down to the story. There's no filler. There's nothing to get in the way of the plot, which I really like, as it just, it moves very fast. Like, it does, not too fast, but the pacing, it just moves. It's not slow. It's just like right in the middle where I want it to be. As I said, I really like the story. It's very well written. I really like how basically this everyday man is suddenly has to face off against these like dangerous criminals, and his past comes back to haunt him. I really like that story, and Tom is a very smart and dangerous individual himself. He's very clever. He's outsmarts his enemies a lot of the time, and when he has to like fight someone, like he knows how to put them down quickly or in a very brutal way, which I really liked. And towards the end, there was one scene that it reminded me of the elevator fight scene from Total Recall when Michael Ironside loses his arms in the elevator. There's a very similar scene towards the end of the graphic novel, which I really liked, and I was like, I didn't see that scene coming at all. And the ending has a very shocking like twist to it, and I'm not going to reveal that. You have to read that for yourself. And I was like, damn, this is just really dark, and I just really enjoyed this story a lot. As I said, I like the writing is very good. It's very well written. The characters are very well layered characters. The only thing I've kind of felt I wish could have been a better was the illustrations. Like there's like if I can find it, there are some scenes I felt were just like scenes that were just like, were drawn better than others. Like, for example, like here's one. When the guy in the leather jacket with the ponytail sits, like, I really like how that scene's drawn out, right? But then there's like let's see. Oh yeah, here's another one where it's like, the bottom illustration right there is like really well drawn and stuff. But there are some illustrations I felt were not very well drawn. Like, it's just kind of a little on the messy side. Um, okay, if I can find it. Let's see, where is it? No, that's where is it? Oh, okay. Okay, here's a good example. Okay, on the bottom corner, on the okay, where this hand is, when you see that Uzi, that Uzi right there, that could have been drawn a lot better if you ask me. Like there's just some of the illustrations I felt were well drawn, others not that much. So that's my only complaint with the History of Violence. But other than that, it's a great graphic novel to read. And as I said, for the movie, don't even bother watching it. It doesn't come anywhere close to this masterpiece here. The film tones down the violence. It's more realistic. Like this one was a bit more over the top, but that's what made it fun. The movie just made it more realistic. It added a bunch of unwanted filler to the story, like the son having a problem in school with a bully, the wife arguing with her husband about his past, and the two of them fighting each other. Uh, what else? Oh man, and a whole bunch of other stuff I really didn't like, and they changed a lot around the story. The reason why the mob's after him, like that's actually the thing in the film. They make it mysterious. They don't reveal what exactly Joey did with the mob. They make this whole thing mysterious, and then they add this other thing to the film, which is on in the graphic novel, that Joey had a brother, and he's the one behind all this. And I don't remember what the film, the plot was, but it was very different from the graphic novel, and I actually like the plot of the graphic novel a lot better. Like the whole reason why the mob is after him, that makes more sense. The film, it changed too much around. I did not like that at all. And the whole family, they don't like the idea of their father is this like killer, and they all don't trust him. I really didn't like that. That was their thing they add in the film. The graphic novel doesn't have that. This is a family it's gonna help each other no matter what they face, and that I like. That's what I liked in the story a lot. And also the wife too. She actually and actually that's the other thing too. In the graphic novel, the wife is the person who shoots Mr. Torino. In the film, they changed it to the son. With the double-barrel shotgun. And again, I felt the graphic novel it was a lot better, just a lot more action and dark and grittier than the film. It's just like a complete watered-down version of the story. All right, that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. And for my next graphic novel, I'll be reviewing next The Crow by James O'Barr. I will be reading this. I'll be reading this later on today, and then I will. As I said, like I got through History of Violence very quickly, so I expect to get through the Crow very quickly as well, and then I'll have a written review and the video review posted soon, and then I will begin with my October Terror series. Alright, if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name. Please support your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.